Good morning and happy Saturday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Chain, just live and recorded. What I do is go over the news that I would typically do by myself for anybody that's new here with all of you guys. All right, let's use in the chat and then we'll go from there. And if this I have an ASIC next to me. I just actually received the X16P from Jingle Mining, so shout out to them. But if you guys can hear it through the microphone, please let me know and I will shut it off. It just takes 2 seconds, but I can't hear it. I like blocked it with a piece of board, so it's like kind of out of the microphone. I'm hoping that it's actually working. All right, Leo Lustig, good to see you, buddy. Let's see who else is here. The Pirate says no price increase coming on Monday. Stop dreaming. No having yet. Well, we'll get into that in a minute. I'll talk about it in a second. The Traveler's Travels, good to see you. Dakota Miner, Scott Sheffield, what's up, man? Steven Cicero, as always, appreciate you, buddy. Kyle Rosa, Tim I Am Crypto, good to see you, sir. Good to see you. Solar Miner, what's up, man? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a bit. Mr. John Carpenter, good to see you. Good to see you. All right, I can kind of hear it in my microphone. I don't know about you guys. Mr. Geek of all trades, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Mr. Pauly, good to see you as well. DJ Death Star, my man. Neomorphous, Mining Meister. We have Eatable Zebra. Does that say eatable or is that supposed to say edible? Edible Zebra, that's great. We have let's see, Bearded Cryptic, what's up? Good morning. All right, let's get into the market. Let's see what we're looking like today and then we'll go from there. All right, Bitcoin looking like 43,225, a big on the day, right? But at the end of the day, guys, like, we launched this ETF at like 45 or 44, right? It's really not that big of a deal. Like, yeah, there was hype. Okay, everyone's saying, you know, buy the rumor, sell the news, but it really didn't sell the news. It went up and it went down. Like, started here, went up and right back down to where it was. Like, it's really not a big deal. And I'm personally thinking that now, because it's an ETF, it is trading just like, you know, a normal ETF would. The stock market's open on Monday, they close on Friday, people get in and then they get out. Like, you can't do anything over the weekend, so it just makes sense that we would see more inflow again back on Monday. But again, who knows? To each his own. We'll have to find out, right? Ethereum 2562. Ethereum has been absolutely impressing me lately. I am shocked it's holding up over 2,500 bucks. Much better than BTC, to be honest. Much better than a lot of other coins, actually. I really do think the spot Ethereum ETF is going to be coming real soon. There is some rumors, or actually news, that it is, I guess they have to give an answer in May or something on the ETH ETF. So we're gonna see what happens in May, but we'll get into that in a little bit with the news stuff. We have Dogecoin looking like 8 cents, not too bad. Litecoin still severely undervalued in my opinion, 72 bucks. We have Kaspa holding at 11.6. We have let's see, that's 11 cents, by the way, a little over 11 and a half. Solana took a little bit of a hit at $93. I think this might be a potential next ETF, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what goes on with that. I really do think it's probably Ethereum, XRP, and then maybe Solana, but probably top 10 coins or something like that, like a bunched up ETF. That's probably going to be one of the next things we see, to be honest, after Ethereum. Let's see, anything else that's sticking out at me? Not really. AVAX is down 6.35%, $36. ETC, actually, ETC's been holding really well too. So ETC $29.76. Again, I've talked about this time and time again. It's I don't really want to call it dumb money, but at the same time, what has Ethereum Classic done to pump? I honestly think it's just because it has the name Ethereum in it and people don't understand the difference. It's just cheaper and easier to buy. That was personally the reason I got into ETC back in the day when I first didn't know anything about crypto and I got on Coinbase. It's like, why is this one $5? Why is that one 300? I'm gonna buy the $5 one. It's way better. It wasn't better, but at the end of the day, I still, you know, you still made gains. Let's see. Don't sleep on Solana, says Geek of all trades. Yeah, no, absolutely would not recommend that. Mr. Crypto Mikkel, my man, good to see you. Mr. DJ Mines as well, appreciate you guys. All right, let's see, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to at me in the chat. All right, on the day, everything looks, again, we just saw it, coin 360, but holy shit, look at this. EHEX is up 112%. I took a pretty big dip though, didn't it? I don't even know, actually. I think after that, like, news that Richard Hart guy, didn't this stuff take a dip and then it's, I don't know, it's just climbing back up the ranks now? It's up 58 ranks on the week. Jeez. 80th. We have let's see, what's this one? Just regular hex, 84.2% on the week. Man, crazy. Actually, so this one's a penny. That's the value of a penny. What's this one? This one's almost a penny. Weird. What's EHEX? Does anybody know what's the difference between the two? Is one like, I don't know. I really have no idea, to be honest. I'm not an investor in Hex. All right, let's see. ENS up 81.5% on the week. This is Ethereum named service. This is a new one that I've never heard of, to be honest, until literally this week. So anybody else into this, let me know. Rank 91, 49 ranks. It jumped this week. $23.22. It's crazy. Crazy. Let's see. You got the ASIC up and running yet at Terra, Mr. Pauly? I have my S19K over at Terra running right now. My L7, I'm still waiting for it to get plugged in. The guys were all down at CES, so I'm assuming it's gonna get plugged in sometime today, but my L7 did arrive, so I'm happy about that. Good morning, Not James. Good to see you, buddy. Again, ETC 46% up on the week. Look at this, $28.98. Crazy. Bonk is 23% up on the week. Not too bad. I don't know if anybody's into this, but it's ranked 89, jumped 12 ranks back into the top 100, which is nice. ARB is actually been doing pretty good. This is Arbitrum. It's up ranked 35 on the week. It's up 20%. We have $2.14, which is really good. Really good. Again, Ethereum, you guys know, 13.2% up on the week, ranked number 2, as you guys know. 25.35. Again, this thing it's really been holding significantly well, so can't really complain. All right, check out the fear and greed index. Sorry to blind you guys. We have 64 on the greed chart. Now we saw extreme greed 3 days ago. I think it was on the ETF launch, if I'm not mistaken. So it was like 76 or so, actually. Yeah, extreme greed, and 64 now. Like, I don't know. Yeah, people obviously are nervous, but I don't think we have anything to worry about. I don't think we're anywhere near extreme greed, or where we you know, even that 76 we saw 3 days ago, it wasn't even close to what we're gonna see, at least in my opinion. I think this chart, we've seen it in the 90s, man, and this is nothing. Really is nothing. So I'm not even gonna pay attention to it, to be honest. We have top 10 coins over here on CoinGecko by coin market cap. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana in 5th place, XRP, USDC, Lido staked Ether, Cardano, and Avalanche again in 10th place. Kicked Dogecoin down to 11th by about $2 billion or so, or close to it. You know, let's see real quick. Let's see. Market cap of Bitcoin actually dropped a little bit. So this was at 950 billion. Man, about 100 billion out of the market. Crazy. But you know what? I honestly think this is anticipation of people thinking it was going to be a sell the news event. To me, this isn't a sell the news event. That's just my opinion. This is normal price action. If we got below 40, like to 35, then yeah, I'd be like, okay, that was a sell the news event. People are getting nervous and whatever. But guys, we ran up from 30 to 45 honestly in a couple months. I don't know. This is just a normal pullback, my opinion. It really is. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the chat. All right, let's see. Litecoin, again, severely undervalued in my opinion. This is at 71 bucks in 20th place. Internet computer, I don't know if anybody's into this, but this one's been holding pretty strong in 18th. Kind of a little bit shocked about that, to be honest. Shiba is in 19th still. Let's see. Bitcoin Cash in 22nd. Who was the person that said it yesterday in the live stream that they had to tell their father not to buy Bitcoin Cash because they didn't understand the difference between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash when I was making that Ethereum Classic comment? Who was that? I think it was Black Cat, maybe. I forget. But it's the same thing. I really honestly think that's why Ethereum Classic's pumping. I mean, hey, I'll take the pump, but it's crazy. Up almost 50% in the last 7 days. Like, what has it done? It really hasn't done much. It has to be off of that. I mean, that's just my opinion again. Let's see. We're gonna check out some other coins after this, but Kaspa's in 40th. Looks like it's holding 11 cents, almost 11 and a half. It was 11.6 over on what was that, Coin 360? Yes, Coin 360. Maybe it just updated, or maybe it didn't. Whatever. There's a little bit of a difference there, but CoinGecko I feel like lags a little bit, but it could just be me. Could just be me. And guys, let me know if that ASICS is annoying, because I can kind of hear it, but if it's bothering anybody, I'll shut it off. Let's see. All that redeemed GBTC had Grayscale sell BTC. I think, you know what? I didn't even think about that. And you're probably right, because so the thing is, there, when they got into that, right, they got converted right to spot, which means they're able to sell their Bitcoin literally at a premium, but they're going to have all the tax I can't even say that word. I'm not even gonna try to say that word. Never mind. They're gonna have to deal with taxes. All right. More or less, they're gonna have to pay on whatever they sell, right? So that's obviously the downfall and why they were expecting people to hold, but that's a good point. I really do think it might have been the GBTC. That's a very good point, actually. Honestly, didn't think about that. All right, let's check out actually Render. How's that doing? 55. Looking like it's $3.86. You know what? Render, I think, has a very good chance to run up pretty good on this bull run. I want to know if they do have any. I know they run on Solana. I know all the Solana coins are really pumping pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna see. I want to see if they have any big big things going on with them. Let's check out Honey on the day, see how that's doing. Down 7.55%. Ooh, 18 cents. Man, I knew I should have sold it when it was at 23 the other day, and I didn't. Dummy. What a dummy. It's all right. It'll come back. 18 cents. Guys, Hivemapper is awesome. If you guys don't know what it is, go check it out. Links in the description below. I bought another one. I'm gonna wait until I think it's coming out March maybe or May. I don't know. It's friggin' super far behind right now, whatever batch I bought, but it was after the first of the year. Mr. Tyson Coin, good to see you. Mr. Charles Harris. What are you saying in the chat? Gundy, what's up, buddy? He said, yo, FA to all you morning people, hodl all them bags. Absolutely, totally agree. All right, what else we got? Let's check out ETC POW. ETC POW, how are we looking? 38 cents. This thing's taking a hit. I don't know what's going on with this coin, if it's coming back or not. I've kind of given up. I've just given up on it, to be honest. I mean, it's still passive income at the end of the day, but man, I really want them to get something situated with their licensing stuff. Like, I haven't got paid out at all. I just shut my shit off. I'm not even gonna bother. It's not even worth my time. But yeah, I don't know. We're gonna have to see. They need to fix the licensing stuff for sure. Let's see what else do we got. What do you guys want to look at? Let's look at Chlor AI, and then we'll start getting into gonna type in Chlor. There we go. How's Chlor looking? 11 cents. You know what, this is one of those coins that I was talking about buying too the other day. I think I'm gonna jump back into it, or not back into it, rather into it in general. This had a decent run up. It was about 27 cents. It's the all-time high over here. Let's see. I know a few people made a decent amount of money on this. 28 cents says all-time high on CoinGecko. It's at 11-ish right now. So, I mean, this might be a good one to throw a couple bucks into and just see what happens. What else you guys got? Any coins you want to look at, just at me in the chat and let me know. Let's jump into the mining segment of things. I want to see what we're looking like today. All right, WindMiner K9, 10.3 terahash unit. Looks like we're making 867 Kaspa per day, 91.26. Bruh. Kind of terrible, but at the same time, it's really good. It really is still good that it's holding this high. It really hasn't changed much, if you guys haven't noticed. Like, it's been going between low 90s and high 90s for the past like month. So, I mean, I'll take that. It's been holding somewhat steady, which is kind of nice now. It doesn't seem like people are influxing into more units as of right now anyways, or like an influx of units aren't coming back online until they at least make something new. We have the Ice River KS3 8 terahash unit making 673 Kaspa a day at 69.35. That's terrible, under 70 bucks, but hey, whatever. Again, at the end of the day, it's been holding pretty good, and it goes up the price of Kaspa too. Kaspa gets 12 cents. We're gonna be back over 70 bucks in no time. KS3M 6 terahash unit making 505 Kaspa a day, 49.62. We have the KS2 2 terahash unit making 168 Kaspa a day at 16.38. Actually, you know what? This one right here, I just glanced over it. I actually just received this from Jingle Mining. Like I said, if you guys can hear it, let me know on the microphone. I will shut it off. It is right next to me on the floor. This thing's actually pretty quiet for a large ASIC. It's extremely quiet. It gets loud as shit, don't get me wrong. When it's ramping up at the beginning, holy hell, it's loud. But right now it's shockingly silent, and it's on ultra performance mode, which is getting me about 6 gigahashes. I've seen 7 gigahashes, and it's 1976 for wattage as of right now, and that's off 240 volt. Should be making about 1 ETC. If you're mining ETC and ZIL a day, it's 0.91 ETC. Right now I got it on solo mining because I need to hit a block with all my other machines, so I had to give it a little boost, and it's been up and running for like 10 hours and I haven't gotten one yet, but whatever. It's supposed to be making 22.17 a day, and that's at 10 cents kilowatt hour. Again, if you guys don't know, this is all calculated, you know, as you change to your electric rate. Like mine's 24. Freaking disgusting. I'll just put 25. It's 24 and a half really. I'll be making $13.34 per day if I pool mined with this. after my electric rate, which is amazing, right? I'm gonna go back down to 10 cents though, just to keep things pretty even. Let's look at the KS1 1 terahash unit making 84 Kaspa a day. That's $8.19. That is kind of rough. That is kind of rough, not gonna lie. We have the Jasminer X16Q. Again, I got this one solo mining with the other, but it should be making about 683 a day, about a quarter of an ETC. So 0.28 ETC. You know what? I might throw these back on pool mining. I don't know. These blocks, I haven't been hitting blocks, and I'm like in the top 10 on the pool over on 2 miners. So I don't know why I haven't hit a block yet, but is what it is. All right, let's see. I have a KS0 Pro coming. Nice, man. Good for you. 200 mega hashes. Good stuff, Carl Code. How much do you pay for it, actually, if you don't mind me asking? I would love to know. All right, my Bitmain Antminer L79050. Again, I just kind of look at the units I have as of right now. I just sent this down to Terra Hosting. They have not plugged it in yet, but if you guys are interested in Terra, down in the description below, I do have a link to their website. You can go check out the electric rates. So it's about, I think it's 10.5 or 11 cents. I forget, but whatever. When I get the bill, I'll know. It's $5.25 a day. So this is pretty much what I should be making, 0.039 LTC per day, which is pretty decent. You know, it's way better than running it here. I honestly can't run it here at all. The Jasminer X4Q, again, another one of these units that are solo mining as of right now. It's making more money on POW blocks. Look at this, 17.6 POW block per day at $3.45. This is what you'd be making. Not too bad. Could be worse. I just purchased my first S19K Pro. That's also with Terra Hosting, 120 terahash unit. It's supposed to be pulling 2760 for wattage. I don't know what it actually pulls, so I didn't have my hands on it at all, but it is plugged in right now. I just have it auto converting right to Kaspa on unMineable because I think it's a better play personally, or at least it was for the last couple days when the Bitcoin price was pumping. I figured it was a better move. I don't know, like, I love the fact that Bitcoin's an ETF now, but in the same, like, on the same side of things, I'm worried about the fees once it comes to trading this stuff. So, or just like the gas, you know, the gas fees or whatever transaction fees you pay for Bitcoin. I'm worried about that, to be honest, with Bitcoin, and that's really going to be one of the things. So I think I might just be auto converting with this out of Bitcoin into other altcoins because I think I'll get more of a gain there personally, and then I'll just flip this in the bull run, just sell it for either what I bought it for or double what I bought it for, depending. You know what I mean? Mr. Trade Like Snipe, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Good morning, Gene. Good to see you. All right, let's see. What else do we got on this list? Where is it? KS0 Pro, 200 gigahash unit, 100 watts. As you guys know, 16.8 Kaspa a day, $1.69 per day. Oh, it's so low now. It's so low, but you know what? Is what it is. I like to support the Kaspa network. I'm using it for heat in my office, and they're simple, right? They're simple units. Not too bad. Could be worse. All right. Anything else you guys want to look at? The ice for KS0 original is actually 65 watts, 100 gigahashes, 8.4 Kaspa a day, 81 cents. All right, let's see. What did he say he paid for that? Did he answer me? Let me see. I have 2 KS0 Pros coming, says Alvidas. Nice, man. Congrats, buddy. Congrats. Where'd you guys get them? And how much did you pay? Let me see. I'm trying to find out. Who said they had one coming in? I asked. Oh, right here. Carl Coat. Did Carl Coat answer? Let me see. I'm trying to see what he paid for it because I want to know what they're going for now. Like, did you buy it from a company or did you buy it from just somebody in the community? I would love to know that too, just because I'm trying to see what they're going for, if it's worth me maybe selling them now. I don't think it is. Ice River, 500 USD each. Okay, all right, Alvidas. So the only thing I gotta say, man, like, shout out to Ice River, nothing against them at all, and it's not their fault at all. But when you get units from these big companies, which sucks, right, that you get hit with duties, it is so awful, because I don't want to say who it was, but somebody I know personally, they got what the hell was it? It was 2 KS3Ms from Ice River. They had to pay $6,000 in duties when they arrived, or they couldn't get their machines. And if they send them back, you're still responsible for it. You're probably not gonna get a refund, or you get a refund minus the $6 grand. Isn't that crazy? Up, it's so fucked up. Like, it drives me nuts. I can't believe it. Anyways, all right, let's check out GPUs over here. GPUs right here. What WTF is duty? So it's a duty tax, right? So if you get anything shipped from China to the US, the government has a right to tax you, which is, it's it's absurd. Okay, and what they do is they tax you out the value of the unit. So if these companies, when they send their units over from China to the US, okay, if you get hit with, well, they typically give the actual value you purchased it for, because they just keep their books clean, right? They're not going to lie and tell them it's an undervalued unit, but if they did, they'd save you a shit ton of money. Whatever, regardless, if it's over $600, you get hit with like X amount of dollar per whatever, like X amount of percent per dollar or something. I forget what the hell it is, to be honest. But man, I remember I got 3 mini Doges in one go and I had to pay $200. So it was like, I think it was like a 20% tax or something, because I think it was like 900 total and I had to pay like 260 or something. I don't know, it was friggin' absurd. I was pissed when I got the duty charge. It was pretty terrible. But I mean, I couldn't imagine buying one of these big miners getting just whacked, you know what I mean? It sucks. 22 to 25% technically, dude. Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. But dude, could you imagine like how I would have thrown up like immediately if I saw a $6,000 duty charge? Like, really? On 2 units? Oh god, it's so terrible. On top of the frickin' the unit's not making as much today. I think it was the KS3Ms, if I'm not mistaken, making $50 a day. I mean, you're still making $100 a day with 2 of them, but like, you got to make up that 6K plus whatever you paid for the units, like 20 grand or whatever it was for 2 of them. You know, it's nuts, man. It's absolutely nuts. All right, let's check. Wow, look at this. Lithium is off the top of the charts for the 4090 and the 4080s. Looks like Pyron is taking it again. I might have to swap my machine back over to Pyron. As you guys know, I'm just selling out of it, but it's to each his own. You guys hold what you want to hold and sell what you don't. Looks like, so Pyron's for most of it. AIPG is still for the AMD cards. We have Bitcoin Gold actually popped off really good the other day. I don't really understand why. Probably because, again, hype on the name. That's just the truth. 3090 Ti is actually still doing the best on Lithium, but that looks like to be the only one. Oh, we have AMD 6950 right here. Lithium is on top of the charts. Ironfish, what? Where did Ironfish come from? This is I haven't seen this one on top of the charts forever. This was months ago. What's happening? Weird. We have Xano also top of the charts for a couple of these units. Let's see. We have, or GPUs rather, we have Nexa for the 4060 Ti. I heard this card's ass. I don't know. Is it this one or is it just the original 4060? You guys know? Let me know in the chat. What is this one? CTXC? What in the hell? All right, hold on. Let me see. CTXC. What the hell is that? CTXC. Cortex. That's the ticker for Cortex? What? Really? I don't think I've ever known that. 37 cents. Weird. It's ranked 433. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, nothing else really popping out at me. I think that's pretty much it. But it's nice to see kind of a spread of different coins, not all one thing. So just you know, find what's best for you guys, your electric rate and your cards, and go from there. Get some Conflux. Yeah, Conflux is actually a pretty decent coin too. All right, let's get into the news segment of things. Now, this is Bitcoin price. This is a little bit of FUD, at least in my opinion. Bitcoin price sells off after ETH approval. Have investors turned bearish? Bitcoin price dropped by nearly 7% just 2 days after the spot ETF approvals. Cointelegraph investigates why BTC price is correcting. I think of this happy as shit bear right here dancing with Bitcoin, whatever that's about. Yeah, Bitcoin price dropped by 6.8% between January 11th and January 12th, confirming bear's theory of sell the news style event occurring on the approval of spot ETF, or the spot Bitcoin ETF rather. So again, this is now trading like a stock. Okay, markets open on Monday, they end on Friday. People are going to get in, they're going to get out regardless of taxes. They're going to make their money and get out. We started this Bitcoin ETF around here. All the hype, right? All the news before the fake news came out. I'm pretty sure that's where we were. We went up to 45, 46, and we dropped back down. Then it got approved, went up to 49, and it dropped back down. Like, this is normal for Bitcoin. I'm not sure if a lot of people understand this. Like, volatility in this asset is extremely normal. All right. Ethereum's holding up extremely well, which is awesome. Obviously, we're going to see the same shit happen to this, in my opinion, when the ETFs come for Ethereum. But again, we're going to have to see. The much anticipated event ensued after a 75% rally in the 90 days leading to the initial trading on January 11th. Okay, 75% rally. 75% in 90 days leading into it, okay? If this was a sell the news event, we would be well into the 30s by now. That's just my opinion. Things cannot go straight up. Exactly, Trade Like Snipe, 100%. Things cannot go straight up forever. They're gonna have pullbacks. To be honest, for Bitcoin, this is not a major pullback. This partially explains the lack of excitement and a subsequent price correction down to 43,180. As you guys know, it's 43,225, pretty much right there. And that was, and you know what, look, right, this was 15 hours ago. The price is a little bit higher than they claim it is here. So again, not a huge deal. Traders are now questioning whether investors have become bearish after multiple failed attempts to break above 47,000 in the last week. What? We went above 47. We ticked 49, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to see what happens on Monday. That's kind of why I put that in the title. Bitcoin increase coming Monday. I have a feeling we're going to see a bump, another bump. And it's not, I'm not saying like bump like, hey, let's go over 50K. I'm saying like a bump in general back, say like 45 or so. But just to see that it's not going to just dump, right? If it dumps, then hey, shit, I was wrong. And look, we're having a pullback. It was a sell the news event, but I highly doubt it. People are smarter than that, especially people in ETFs. They're going to sell before that. On one hand, there are some rationale behind the fear, meaning market makers and whales that tried to front run the spot ETF issuers by buying ahead of the launch might be forced to sell at a loss. If this hypothesis is valid, furthermore, Bitcoin miners might feel pressured to sell some of their holders, given that the halving is less than 100 days away. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. I didn't read this prior, by the way. That was the dumbest statement I've ever heard. Yeah, we're gonna sell it before the halving because it's a great idea. No, regardless how profitable Bitcoin mining operation is, a 50% cut in the block subsidy will significantly affect margins. Yeah, it's going to affect margins for the upcoming rewards. It's not going to affect margins for, you know what? Actually, that's it's kind of dawning on me. What they're probably actually meaning here is big mining companies need to stack some US dollars to be able to pay off their electric bill when the halving comes. That's probably what they're talking about here now that I'm thinking about it. According to Bitcoin News, miners outflow hit a 6-year high as $1 billion worth of BTC was sent to exchanges. And yeah, obviously people are going to try to get gains off this shit, man. Like obviously it's going to happen. Like why wouldn't you want to take profits if you're a day trader or if you're just, you know, trading in general? Guys, the like button, 147 people here, 51 likes. Don't be lazy. It's Saturday. I know no one's driving to work. All right, let's get into the news over here on CNBC television. We have the SEC chair, Gary Gensler, on the Bitcoin ETF. Now, this was yesterday, 23 hours ago. I haven't had a chance to watch it, and I want to shit on Gary with all of you guys. So if you want to shit on Gary too, hit that like button. Let's do it. Appreciate you guys for hanging out.
Joining us right now, first on CNBC, following that decision that some have described as historic, is SEC Chair Gary Gensler. Chair Gensler, we appreciate you being with us. Let me start by asking you this. Do you consider the decision historic? And it appears that it's a decision that you made either reluctantly or perhaps even begrudgingly.
Well, look, Andrew.
I love how his hands shake every time he talks. I know it's probably like a medical thing, but it looks like so funny every time.
This has been considered for a long time, as you know. Starting under Chair Clayton, we had disapproved a number of these over the years, and something had changed.
Oh, wow. You just threw Clayton right under the bus there.
I'm a deep believer in the rule of law and a respect for the courts, and taking a new court decision into consideration, we move forward. I think this is the most sustainable path forward.
Eat shit,
so
Gary.
It appears, though, from what you're saying and reading through the decision as well, that what changed is not necessarily something inherent to crypto or Bitcoin per se, but what changed was what the courts did. Is that the way to think about this?
Well, again, I mean, we do everything here at the Securities and Exchange Commission within the law and within how the courts interpret those laws. And that's what the American people expect, and that's what we do here.
What is your message to investors?
He looks terrified to get questioned right now.
About Bitcoin now, because we're going to have all sorts of public investors now potentially have access to Bitcoin in a way that they didn't before. We were just talking to Larry Fink. He said that he got a huge wave of new investors getting into Bitcoin through this ETF. You have still suggested to be cautious about it, and I'm trying to understand how you think about those cross currents in terms of the message you're telling investors.
Mr. Carl Code says, did he age 10 years? Yeah, probably. Elizabeth Warren's been calling him off the chain all night. 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Dude, she's been calling him. No idea why. Just to yell at him, probably. Poor bastard.
Well, look.
And then Donald Trump's been calling him.
You are a loser. You always lose.
And saying that. And telling him to
eat shit, Gary.
Eat shit, which is terrible.
Bitcoin itself, we did not approve. We do not endorse. This is a product called an exchange-traded product, a way that investors can invest in that underlying non-security commodity called Bitcoin. But yes, investors, I think, should be aware that the underlying asset is a highly speculative, volatile asset. And
not wrong there.
Amongst its use cases is really...
oh, here it comes. Here it comes. He's going to say it. He's going to say it.
Eat shit, Gary.
I know he's going to say it. Piece of shit. He's gonna pull the fucking criminal activity bullshit, isn't he? He's gonna do it.
For illicit activity,
you
money
motherfucker.
laundering,
I knew
and
it.
sanctions,
I knew it.
ransomware, and the...
Oh my god, this is ridiculous. Is it ever gonna end? Are they ever gonna end with him saying that shit?
And
oh my god,
I know that you've asked other people over the last few days.
That was like on point.
Is it being used as a store of value? It's a speculative, volatile store of value. Is it being used as a payment?
All right. So he just said, he's like contradicting himself. So he says it's for illicit activities, and now it's a store of value. But oh my god,
anywhere are we buying cups of coffee with it? Not really.
What do you mean not really? I mean not really. You can. I'm just saying.
The only payment mechanism it's being used for, in sort of in a primary sense, is illicit activity. So I think you've been spot on about that, Andrew.
So just on that note, Mr.
Oh my
Chair,
God, I love this guy. I love this guy.
When
this guy, by the way, I don't know his name. But he's an advocate of Bitcoin. It's amazing.
This is out, and I'm not going to take either side on the whole thing, and it's kind of funny. But these are, I don't know the exact units, but if you look since 2017, what's been used to launder money, 20,000 is the unit for, 20,000 is the unit for $1. 33 is the unit for Bitcoin. So
eat shit, Gary.
That's a multiple of I don't know how much.
You just lit him up on national TV, telling him the dollar was used more. Oh my God, that's great.
For dollars being used for money laundering versus Bitcoin. But now I could see Bitcoin bears saying, really? Well, it's not
I feel like he just like lost all the color in his face. He just turned like white.
Even good for money laundering, then it has zero value. I could just see that as another arrow in the quiver for the bear case. But what I was the question,
you know what? That's a really good point. Let's hear what he just said again right there.
Is the unit for Bitcoin. So that's a multiple of I don't know how much for dollars being used for money laundering versus Bitcoin. But now I could see Bitcoin bears saying, really? Well, it's not even good for money laundering. Then it has zero value. I could just see that as another arrow in the quiver for the bear case. But what I was,
I love this guy. I love this guy so much. That's so great. That's so great. Because that's so true, right? Money laundering with Bitcoin, like you're getting caught, asshole. Like you can trace it. You can trace every single transaction you do with Bitcoin. So if you're trying to do some sketchy shit, you're probably going to get caught. I mean, they might not know who the wallet's actually tied to at the end of the day, but guess what? It's easy to trace where it went and where it came from. That's crazy.
The question I wanted to ask you.
Oh, real quick, Mr. DJ Death Star, appreciate you. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Some more banks went under due to criminal crap. Yeah, 1,000%.
Let's take the continuum. Let's take the rat poison, Beanie Baby, Jamie Dimon, Charlie Munger versus we had
RIP Charlie Munger, but Jamie Dimon's a piece of shit.
Yesterday on our Coinbase CEO, did you hear him make the case for Bitcoin? I mean, it was almost like a symphony to Bitcoin bulls.
Look at Gary's face.
Chair Gensler. The proof of work. akin to gold. Every monetary aspect we've had for thousands of years is represented perfectly. And Tom Lee, there's never been a mistake on the blockchain out of trillions of transactions. You understand it. You taught at MIT. Which is it? Is it a beanie baby in your view, or is it something that has inherent value that's going to be part of the financial system?
Oh my God, this is great.
Decades from now? Which is
this is great.
You are a loser. You always lose. Eat shit, Gary.
Look, no doubt there are innovations within this field.
This is
and
great.
those innovations, which I taught about at MIT, around a ledger system. It's just an accounting system called the blockchain technology. But there's an irony. In the midst of this, Satoshi Nakamoto said this was going to be a decentralized system. And finance, this has led to centralization. Think about...
All right, you know what? I give him that. I give him that. Because he's not wrong. It was meant to be decentralized. The CTF does not help that case at all. So I give him that.
The irony of those who say this week is historic. This was about centralization and traditional means of finance that investors who could already express themselves in Bitcoin, you could already, before this week, buy it through major brokerage houses, but now you can buy it through this thing called an exchange-traded product
but the
as
underlying
well,
asset still has
centralized.
The underlying asset still has the decentralized, distributed ledger, all those characters. That sounds like a, I don't know, that sounds like a...
No, Andrew, with all respect...
Oh my God, this is great.
In fact, there's a lot of centralization here, and even the underlying ledger is largely the Bitcoin's produced by a handful of mining companies and the like. And so I'm just saying, now in terms of monetary history, we have a dollar, we have a yen, we have a euro, we have the renminbi, and there's a reason for it because we do have a common economy that relies on those currencies.
Chair Gensler, let me ask
you. It's because you want control. It's because you want control. And don't be friggin' fooled here. It's 1,000% what they're doing with Bitcoin too. They know they can't stop it. There's no one that's actually running it and behind the scenes, right? It's the Bitcoin network does its own thing. There's no one person they could just go after and sue to high heavens to just kill this thing, right? So don't be fooled. These ETFs are 100% to gather as much Bitcoin as they can so they can still control your money, because they're going to give you a piece of paper that says, trust me, bro, you got this much, and I'll hold it for you, though. Don't worry about it. I'll hold it for you back here. That's crazy. Mr. DJ Death Star, again, with the $10 super chat. Appreciate you, buddy. He said 4 banks went under last year. FDIC doesn't protect businesses. What he doesn't want is the common man to be able to generate wealth outside of the purview of the government. 1,000%. 1,000%, buddy. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Keeping the stream alive.
Do this, though. Is there a possibility?
I love this guy, too. He always tries to de-escalate because the older guy, what was his? I don't remember his name. Whatever he just said his name was. He always gets a little overzealous with people that argue about Bitcoin. And it was just, that was so great. I'm so happy he called him out. That was so perfect.
Despite the fact that this has been now approved, that this spot ETF has been approved, that you could see a day where Bitcoin itself in some way would be outlawed. I ask because if you recall, and now there's a lawsuit taking place between Coinbase and the SEC.
He looks like a kid in class getting scolded by the teacher right now. But they're not going to, how are they going to outlaw it? They just approved ETFs to be sold legally in the U.S. They're not going to outlaw it.
Public, and they've now made, you've come back and said that there are certain unregistered securities and the like that are on their platform. They say, well, if you approved us the first time, how can you come back and say that this is not kosher? And so I think there is this other question about, and I know you're not endorsing Bitcoin, does that still open up the possibility that Bitcoin could somehow come under fire from the SEC or some other agency?
Look, let me talk about this field more broadly. And the American public
I can't talk to any one asset
is aware of this. It's rife with conflicts. It's rife with fraud and abuse.
Shit, Gary.
Without prejudging any one token. Many of these tokens, I would suggest a majority of these tokens are actually securities under the securities law. And so the platforms, the various places that you might buy or sell these crypto security tokens need to come into compliance with the federal laws.
What did you make of what Elizabeth Warren, who was very supportive of you taking this role originally, coming out and saying the SEC is wrong on the law and wrong on the policy?
I have deep respect for those who may have been on the other side of this. But again,
he doesn't want to say her name because he knows she's going to call him right after this interview.
I have deep respect for the law and how courts interpret the law. We had the D.C. Circuit, three-judge panel rule on this. We looked at it, and I thought this was the most sustainable path forward.
How do you think about other cryptocurrencies? People are now talking about whether there should be an Ethereum Etf and the like. Is that something you think you would take on proactively? Is that something that ultimately, in the same way that Grayscale had to go to court, does the court decision around Bitcoin to you act as a precedent on other currencies?
Well, that was a good question. That was a good question. I want to know what he's going to say. Let's see.
I look at what we did this week as it's cabined to one non-security commodity called Bitcoin, like we've had.
Oh, wow. I'm clipping that for a soundbite 1,000%. He literally just said that. Did you hear that? Did you hear what he just said? Everybody just hear that? Let me just get back to that.
Non-security commodity called Bitcoin, like we've had gold, spot,
golf clap,
exchange-traded products, and silver exchange-traded products in the past and approved in the past. This is cabined just to that one non-security commodity token.
Eat shit, Gary.
Oh, man, that was great. I wish that went on longer. They were freaking hosing him. Awesome, guys. Hit the like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. All right, time to hear from Mr. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink over here on CNBC television. Again, this was like 21 hours ago. I haven't had a chance to listen to it, so this is what I do every morning. I watch it with you guys. Mr. DJ Death Star, appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much for the game over sticker. You're amazing, buddy.
It's the first time we've had an opportunity to talk to you about it, which is Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ETF. We're going to be talking to Gary Gensler, the chair of the SEC, who made that decision reluctantly, maybe even begrudgingly, which was announced just 2 days ago, and we talked a lot about yesterday on the broadcast. How big a deal is that for BlackRock? And this was, for you, a big switch as well, because you were a naysayer for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I probably switched. For the first 3 years of thinking about it, I was a naysayer, and about 2 years ago, I switched. And I'm actually, as I said in the last 2 years, I'm a big believer.
Are you a believer person?
Hold on, what's that saying? It's God, I can't even think of it. It's what? First they fight us. I don't even know. Then they sue us, then they like join us or some shit. I forget what it is. If you guys know, put it in the chat, please. You know what I'm talking about, though. First, they always sit there and fight the fact that this is the like best performing asset ever, and it makes total sense. They're gonna fight it to come hell or high water, and then eventually they convert and get on our side. Can't beat them, join them. There you go. It's like the perfect way to say it, but there's like a three segment thing. It's kind of funny.
Meaning is the Fink family a Bitcoin buyer,
the Fink family,
or a buyer of this new ETF?
Well, now I could do that. I cannot, I don't want to compete with our clients, so I don't buy single assets. I'll buy mutual funds. I'll buy single ETFs. So,
oh, he's a lying sack of shit. How much you want to bet they got Bitcoin in their bags, or some people in his family? 100%. There's no way.
I have an opportunity to do that now. But I'm a believer in it because I do believe it is an alternative source for wealth holding. I don't believe it's ever going to be a currency. I believe it's an asset class.
You don't believe it ever becomes a currency?
No, I think we're going to create digital currencies. We're going to use the technology for it. We're going to use the blockchain.
Because we can't control it. That's why. We can't control it. You guys can still purchase it on your own. We're not going to make it a currency. Fucking ridiculous.
How important is that, though, to then the long-term value proposition
of Bitcoin?
Of Bitcoin. If it's not something that ultimately becomes a currency, if it's simply, we'll call it digital gold.
Ah, there it is, Crypto KJ. Thank you very much. You said first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. There it is. Appreciate you, Crypto KJ. I knew it was something along those lines, but I could not remember it for the life of me.
It's an asset of some sort. What does that mean?
It means,
in terms of price,
I believe, I believe it goes up if the world is more frightened, if people have fearful of geopolitical risk, they're fearful of their own risk. It's no different than what gold represented over thousands of years. It is a asset class that protects you.
Right.
It's a finite asset that is capped at 21 million. So it's much different than gold.
And unlike gold, where we manufacture new gold, we're almost at the ceiling of the amount of Bitcoin that be created.
When you hear somebody like Kathy Wood,
yes,
almost at the ceiling. It's in 2140 is the last mined block projected as of right now. It's not really that close, but yeah, I get what he's saying.
On our broadcast yesterday,
to an extent,
that her base case is that this turns into a $600,000 a Bitcoin valuation base case, and a million plus in a super optimistic case. Are you anywhere in her realm?
Well, it's a good thing they're hiding his boner right now, because he's definitely seeing that kind of money. I can guarantee that.
Thought about it. To me, that what we are trying to do is offer an instrument that can store wealth. I think if it gets that even close to that high, gold will represent even a bigger value.
Bullshit.
And let's be clear, if you think it's digital gold, there's going to be a reference point between gold and Bitcoin.
Only if you make an ETF of it. There's not gonna. What do you mean there's gonna be a reference point? It's totally different. I mean, it's. I guess the commodity store value is kind of similar, but it's totally different.
But let me get back to what happened yesterday.
He's like, stop asking me about price. I know this thing's gonna go up, and I'm stacking bags, bro.
A part of our announcement that you mentioned in the opening, that we changed the architecture of our firm.
Right.
And much of it has to do with how we think about iShares and ETFs. When we bought BGI, very few people believed in that acquisition, and we were pretty mistreated for a couple of years, because we said active and passive can coexist. Obviously, we were right in that too. We said the fixed income market will be transformed through ETFs. That has now happened. Yesterday, we had the first day of Bitcoin ETFs. In our reorganization is taking that ethos of what has happened over the last 10 years. We believe ETFs is a technology that's going to transform every asset class. We believe everything will be done through ETFs. And so we believe this is just the beginning, and we needed to embed ETFs across the entire.
So what does that mean? If you're Rick Reeder, who we've had on the broadcast for years.
Did you just say we need to embed ETFs across the entire platform? Is that what he was trying to say before he cut him off?
Now doing more ETFs in his active space now. There's a great example of how we are taking what a very active investor and now putting that into an ETF platform.
By them doing that, it's just making them rich at the end of the day. That's the entire goal here, and don't be fooled. Like, these guys aren't trying to help you. They're trying to help themselves, 1000%.
Let me be clear. I think ETFs are step one in the technological revolution in the financial markets. Step two is going to be the tokenization of every financial asset. And to me, this is where we believe it's going. So we're looking at Bitcoin, we're looking at ETFs in the same manner. These are technological changes that can allow us to move forward.
What did you see yesterday, by the way, in terms of inflows as it relates to Bitcoin?
We were very happy with the flows. It appears that we received about 40% of the flows yesterday. I mean, one day doesn't make anything.
Are these new customers? Are these people who are coming out of other funds? I mean, Grayscale is the biggest player in this space right now. Are you trying?
You know what? Put a 1 in the chat if you guys bought ETFs, and a 2 in the chat if you didn't. I'm just interested to know if there's anybody here that actually invested into the ETF or not.
To take share from them in terms of taking those clients over, or are you trying to create a new class of customer?
Primarily, we're trying to create an opportunity for new customers can invest in this financial instrument. Over the long run, do we believe, just think about the fee differential between an ETF and some of these trusts.
Right.
These trusts are like 120 basis points.
They're expensive. We were talking with the head of Grayscale yesterday. It's still an expensive product.
And these are 20.
Mr. Dumpster Fire did. Everybody else looks like they haven't. Carl Coates said my GBTC got converted. Nice, nice. Yeah, no, I've never purchased ETFs or really been in the stock market at all. So I was just interested to know how many of you guys actually did purchase ETF.
The 30 basis points in the ETF wrapper.
Well, it's expensive, by the way, if you're a Grayscale customer to sell your shares.
Well, it's very expensive. Yes, and this is the big issue with the SEC, and this is something.
Taxes, they got waxed, but they still made money. Don't be wrong. I mean, don't get it wrong.
The industry asked to transfer in kind into an ETF, and that was denied by the SEC. That's a fine.
Meaning, let's just put a fine point on that. The industry, meaning companies like yours, asked the SEC to allow folks who might have owned shares via a Grayscale to be able to transfer those in kind to a BlackRock or to Fidelity or whomever.
And so that there would be no tax ramifications. That was not denied. They wanted to really just create from scratch,
wanted their money.
Cash only, which we all respect the SEC's reasoning.
1000%.
That creates an opportunity actually for Grayscale to keep those customers for a much longer time.
It does, but I think over the long run,
that's a very good point too. That kind of cemented Grayscale's customers to like stay with them, because if they sell, they're getting whacked with taxes.
When you start adding up the fees and adding up the fees, people are going to start thinking about redeeming and then ultimately going into an ETF.
Longer term, do you now expect other cryptocurrency ETFs? Meaning, do you think that Gary, and we'll talk to him later, Gary
like Ethereum
will have to approve an
Ethereum
ETF? And is that a function of something the SEC has to do, or do you think that all these things have to go to court first?
I couldn't respond to that. I see value in having an Ethereum ETF. As I said, these are just stepping stones towards tokenization.
Wow, he said he sees value in having an Ethereum ETF. That's good news. That's really good news.
I really do believe this is where we're going to be going.
Well, I mean, it is and it isn't, right? It's going towards the centralization of something, but Ethereum's already kind of, center of everything, so whatever.
Have the technology to tokenize today. If you want to think about this. If you had a tokenized security and you have a tokenized identity, you, Andrew, the moment you buy or sell an instrument, it is known. It's on a general ledger that is all created together. I want to talk about.
Did you guys just hear what he said? That tokenizing you, Andrew, right? He points to the guy across the table, because if your assets or you as a person, are tokenized, basically it's going to be like a spider web of everything coming off that one center point where they can trace every goddamn thing you do. Like, that is what he literally just said.
Issues around money laundering and all that. This eliminates all corruption by having a tokenized system.
Jamie Dimon disagrees with you on that.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong there, but there's a grand scheme here, and it's really for them to control you.
But, or at least to some degree.
All right. Shout out to CNBC for that. All right. Let's get into this, guys. Hit that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Crypto world. Let's see. Ether rises 16% in a week as investors see path to its own spot ETF, which is amazing. Let's do it.
Today, Bitcoin ends the week in the red despite spot ETFs launching in the U.S. SEC Chair Gary Gensler addresses whether he made the spot Bitcoin ETF decision reluctantly. And Greg Beard, the CEO of Stronghold Digital, breaks down what the ETF approval means for crypto miners.
Eat shit, Gary. You are a loser. You always lose.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Tanea McKeel. Crypto prices mixed to end the week. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin fell more than 5%, trading at the $43,000 level, even with spot ETFs launching in the U.S. this week. Ether, however, climbed more than 1% to $2,600. Solana fell about 4.5%, trading just under $95.
You know what? I wonder if people are actually, because, Ethereum's holding up so well, or why it's holding up so well, I think people are anticipating, they're probably taking the Bitcoin and putting it into Ethereum, anticipating an ETF for that to come soon, because I think it says in May.
Solana fell about 4.5%, trading just under $95. For the week, Bitcoin dipped less than 1% as of around noon Eastern. Other cryptocurrencies, like Ether, were up for the week, with the cryptocurrency soaring a whopping 16% as the focus has now shifted to the potential for those spot Ether ETFs getting approved. The SEC is due to give decisions on spot ETH ETF applications beginning in May. BlackRock, Invesco, ARK, and VanEck are among the firms in line for approval, as well as Grayscale, which is seeking to convert its existing Ethereum trust into an ETF.
Oh, wow. Grayscale's doing the same thing. They want to convert their Ethereum trust into the spot ETF. Wow.
Ether lagged Bitcoin in 2023, rising just 90% compared to Bitcoin's 157%. Many had expected the long-awaited Bitcoin ETF approvals to be a sell the news event this week, with investors and miners sitting on high unrealized profits as the ETF narrative drove Bitcoin up more than 60% just in the past 3 months. Market participants across the board, however, agree that the Bitcoin price will benefit from ETFs. It just may take some time to play out as newcomers to crypto become more familiar with the asset and enter the market gradually. Citi's Alex Saunders said today that widespread inclusion of Bitcoin in portfolios is still some way off. Elsewhere, Litecoin, whose value proposition is similar to the original Bitcoin vision of a medium for everyday payments, was another bright spot in the crypto market Friday, and it's on pace for an 11% weekly gain. Okay, let's also take a look at the spot Bitcoin ETFs and how they're trading on the second day since launching in the U.S. As of around noon Eastern, they were all in the red, down between 5 and 7%. Hashdex's ETF dropped the most by 6.63%, and Wisdom Tree's dropped the least by 5.5%. Even the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, the largest of the ETFs with $28 billion under management, turned lower today. Now, SEC Chair Gary Gensler joined CNBC's Squawk Box this morning, where he reiterated that the SEC does not endorse Bitcoin itself. He was asked whether he considers the decision to approve these ETFs historic and addressed whether he made the decision reluctantly or begrudgingly. This was his response.
This has been considered for a long time. As you know, starting under Chair Clayton, we had disapproved a number of these over the years, and something had changed. I'm a deep believer in the rule of law and a respect for the courts, and taking a new court decision into consideration.
You are a loser. You always
we move
lose.
forward. I think this is the most sustainable path forward.
He also addressed whether the SEC would now consider approving those applications for spot Ether ETFs.
I look at what we did this week as it's cabined to one non-security commodity called Bitcoin. Like we've had gold, spot, exchange-traded products, and silver exchange-traded products in the past and approved in the past. This is cabined just to that one non-security commodity token.
Next, Senator Elizabeth Warren took to X to blast the SEC's decision to approve spot Bitcoin ETFs. In a post on Thursday afternoon, Warren, a longtime crypto skeptic, wrote that the SEC is, quote, wrong on the law and wrong on the policy with respect to the Bitcoin ETF decision. She added that if the SEC is going to let crypto burrow even deeper into our financial system, then it's more urgent than ever that crypto follow basic anti-money laundering rules.
God, she sucks. She sucks so bad.
On Thursday, during a hearing of the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee, Senator Warren called for action on her Digital Asset Anti-Money Laundering Act, which is aimed at closing loopholes in AML rules to crack down on crypto's use by drug traffickers, terrorists, and other bad actors. While on Squawk Box this morning, Gensler responded to Senator Warren's comment that the SEC was wrong to approve spot Bitcoin ETFs.
I have deep respect for those who may have been on the other side of this. But again, I have a deep respect for the law and how courts interpret the law. We had the D.C. Circuit, a three-judge panel rule on this. We looked at it, and I thought this was the most sustainable path forward.
Eat shit, Gary.
Finally, of course, one of those asset managers now offering spot Bitcoin ETFs is the world's largest, BlackRock. And this morning, the firm's CEO, Larry Fink, spoke with CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin, saying that Bitcoin ETFs are just the first step in the technological revolution of finance. He said step 2 is tokenization. Tokenization of real-world assets such as gold has become more popular among financial institutions who've been cautious on crypto assets but keen on the underlying blockchain technology. This morning, Fink also discussed a potential spot Ethereum ETF about 2 months after BlackRock filed an application for one with the SEC.
I see value in having an Ethereum ETF. As I said, these are just stepping stones towards tokenization. And I really do believe this is where we're going to be going. We have the technology to tokenize today. If you want to think about this. If you had a tokenized security and you have a tokenized identity, Andrew, the moment you buy or sell an instrument, it is known. It's on a general ledger that is all created.
We can track everything you do.
You want to talk about
in
issues around
terms.
Money laundering and all that. This eliminates all corruption by having a tokenized system.
He's not wrong, but...
All right, for our main story, Crypto World's Talia Kaplan spoke with Greg Beard, the CEO of Bitcoin miner Stronghold Digital Mining, on the impact of the spot ETF decision on miners.
It's been a decade in the making, and we just got an approval from the SEC for spot Bitcoin ETF. So I gotta start off by asking, what's your reaction to that historic decision?
Hey, we're excited. It means a lot more capital into the ecosystem. And whenever we have a limited amount of supply of Bitcoin and, potentially tens of billions of dollars of additional demand, that's going to have an impact on price.
Now, since you're the CEO of a NASDAQ-listed Bitcoin mining company, I'm wondering what the impact of this decision means for your business specifically, and what does this mean for Bitcoin miners as a whole?
Yeah, so we're a miner, which means we compete for about $20 million of mining rewards a day, or about $7.5 billion of mining rewards a year. And so obviously a big impact of value of those rewards is the price of Bitcoin. But we're also rooting for a bigger ecosystem. So more participants, institutional interest, that's going to mean more transaction volume. And more transaction volume is another component of how we earn our fees. So this is a very positive thing for miners and the whole ecosystem. So we think it's a not a small positive, but a very material one.
Now, you just obviously touched on this, but in a nutshell, why would you say the approval is a historic moment for Bitcoin? What does this development mean for the cryptocurrency and the digital asset industry as a whole? I mean, earlier this week, we spoke with Rick Edelman, the founder of the Digital Assets Council of Financial Professionals, and he said the spot Bitcoin ETF decision is the, quote, holy grail of crypto and the biggest event for crypto in 10 years. Do you agree with that assessment? How would you categorize it?
Yeah, it is a decade in the making. So it was 2013 when the first spot ETF was filed and ultimately rejected in 2017. And so, I think Grayscale is now benefiting from having, taken the court case to sort of break the dam to let this all happen today. But if you wanted to buy Bitcoin before the ability to buy it on a spot ETF, you had to go through multiple steps, like, opening a wallet on Coinbase, or buying Bitcoin directly, using a, sort of like a USB stick.
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard to do.
That feels dangerous to some people, particularly for institutional investors. And so this is a way to get exposure to Bitcoin or Bitcoin price, which, by the way, had it been approved 10 years ago, that was 100, people that had bought Bitcoin 10 years ago have made more than 100 times their money. So I'm not sure that the SEC did many people favors by delaying this decision 10 years. A lot of people would have made a lot more money had they done it, back then.
They say 100 times their money? A lot more than that, bro.
But the idea of the additional capital, so now if it's easier to buy Bitcoin and get access to it in the way that people buy stocks and the way that institutions buy and hold stocks, which is in a large part through ETFs, we're going to end up seeing tens of billions of dollars of value trading in those ETFs, which is why over the past few months we've seen a barrage of essentially advertising from those a dozen or so competitors for these ETFs on CNBC, because that's going to amount to $1 billion plus in fees over time and probably tens of billions of value increases to their enterprises. But for Bitcoin and for crypto, hey, it's clear the SEC is not endorsing Bitcoin, but hey, it is now not a new security. Bitcoin itself is worth about $900 billion, but only about 2 million coins are freely tradable on exchanges. So that's called, between 90 and 100 billion of tradable Bitcoin today. If we're talking about adding 10 or 20 or 30 billion dollars of demand over time through this new ETF market, you're going to see just through supply and demand a pretty material increase in price. And the back of the envelope says it could be an increase between $10,000 or up to $20,000 a coin just from ETF demand. And of course, as you see, professional institutional interest and buying, that really helps the ecosystem. And
real quick, I put a link for Tangem in the chat. I also have it in the description below. If you guys want a good crypto wallet, I really do like Tangem a bit better than Ledger. It's just way easier to use, and you get 10% off with code CCXD. So feel free to use it.
Yeah. So miners like Stronghold, we benefit from additional transaction value, and also on a price basis. If you were to see a 10% increase in Bitcoin price, we could have a 20% increase in our operating margins. So exposure to miners is a bit of a turbocharged way to get exposure to Bitcoin price.
So the issue, real quick, Trade Like Snipe said, is that better than the Ledger? So Ledger's had a lot of issues lately where it comes to, either hacks in the background or being able to shard your seed phrase, which is like a huge deal. For me personally, I'm never using Ledger again. I have a Ledger with a lot of my main holdings on it, and I am not plugging it in until the day I try to take it off. Right. So personally, I use Tangent. I just like that wallet. It's a lot more convenient.
Now, Fundstrat Global Advisors Managing Partner Tom Lee told CNBC Squawk Box yesterday that he thinks Bitcoin will surpass $100,000 within the next 12 months now that the SEC approved those spot Bitcoin ETFs. Do you see that happening?
It's probable, just given the limited amount of coins that trade. And I would say, hey, if we see the ETF succeed in attracting the tens of billions of capital that we would expect, I would say if you compare Bitcoin to gold, which I think that's not a new comparison. It's digital gold with a smaller amount of friction to transact. Gold has more than 100 billion of ETF exposure, and so even if Bitcoin were to get a fraction of that, say 25 billion over time, you could and would see additional demand on Bitcoin with this constrained limited supply, which will have a big impact on price. Whether it's 100,000 a coin, I think we're going to test, the old highs of around 67,000 this year. And if it makes it to 100,000, it would not be a surprise.
Now, other catalysts for
I think if we get to 100,000, it's going to blow right through to like $1.20. But we're gonna. I mean, it's not going to stay up there.
Bitcoin's price we're following the next Bitcoin halving,
not
which
this
is
year,
just
anyways.
3 months away. In the past, Bitcoin saw a price spike in the run-up to those key technical events. For example, for the last halving in 2020, the price of Bitcoin jumped by 19% from the same day the year before. So how do you think the halving will impact Bitcoin this time around? I understand you think the impact of the halving is being overhyped, and the ETF approval coupled with institutional adoption is what will take the cryptocurrency to the next level?
Yeah, so I'm more of a fundamentalist in terms of how I think about it. So looking at what happened in the past, it's a great reference point. But from my vantage point, this is a supply-demand question. And as I was talking about, there's a limited amount of supply of Bitcoin. It's capped at 21 million. 19 million are sort of issued now, but only 2 million of those coins freely trade. And if we're talking about adding tens of billions of demand to that limited quantity of 2 million, sort of tradable Bitcoin, that, in my view, is going to be a much bigger impact on price than what a sort of technical impact of a halving might be. So a fundamentalist investor would look at just supply demand. A more technical analyst would look backward and say, hey, in the past, halvings had a big price impact. I wouldn't ignore that, but and particularly on the first day of the ETF trading,
I don't think he's wrong.
You would look at the fundamentals of what that should do.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think he's wrong there. Shout out to CNBC Crypto World for that. All right, last thing I got to do is watch Altcoin Daily. I like to watch their videos. Usually they have some good news clips and Twitter stuff, and it makes sense to keep an eye on them. They do drop a video every day. Links in the description below if you guys would like. We're gonna raid Crypto Mikkel after this, guys. That like button. I hate asking what YouTube makes me. Let's do it.
Let me be clear. I think ETFs are step one in the technological revolution in the financial markets. Step two is going to be the tokenization of every financial asset. And to me, this is where we believe it's going. So we're looking at Bitcoin. We're looking at
which of these coins, which of these cryptos are the next crypto assets that will get an ETF?
Look at that. He's showing render. I doubt it's that one.
Eat shit, Gary.
Because it's coming.
In a blog post, you say that spot Ether, a spot Ether ETF, can quickly follow. How soon do you think that happens? And then beyond that, is it Solana? Is it you name the coin? I mean, how do you see this playing out?
But which coins do you think will be approved? As you know, ETFs will onboard a lot of new buyers into crypto, like the gold ETF did for gold back in 2000.
Yeah, look at that gold chart. That's crazy. That's when the ETF launched in the next 10 years. Obviously we've had, dumps and stuff, but that's typical. It's typical pullback. Look how high gold is compared.
2004, could something like this happen with Bitcoin? And which crypto is next?
This is a safer, cleaner way to own it. It transformed gold 20 years ago. You and I were around, Tyler, for the gold ETF in 2004. A lot of people used to own gold and gold bars and gold coins in their basement, and all of a sudden you didn't have to do that. There was a custodian to hold it for you, and that's what's going on with the Bitcoin ETF. There's now a custodian. Coinbase is the custodian for a lot of this, that holds it, and they're the ones that are responsible. If you don't forget your passport, you don't lose it, they hold it for you. So that's the the key here.
The Bitcoin ETFs will be...
All right, they hold it for you. Again, it's a double-edged sword. They're controlling your shit.
Hugely significant for Bitcoin's price.
Our base case is in the $600,000 range. Our bull case, and we think the probability of the bull case has increased with this SEC approval. This is a green light.
We'll get into price predictions in this video.
I think in the next 12 months, something over 100,000, maybe 150,000. And
you are a loser.
In the next 5 years,
again, it's...
But what I want to know is, which crypto's next? Solana, Cardano, Chainlink. I think they all could. There's really only one man standing in the way of our financial freedom.
Investors, I think, should be aware that the underlying asset is a highly speculative, volatile asset. And amongst its use cases is really for illicit activity, money laundering and sanctions and ransomware and the like.
Of course, we have heroes on our side as well, like the CEO of Coinbase.
This is a monumental step for the crypto industry and for Coinbase too. And the reason is that, look, there's 52 million Americans who have been using crypto over the past decade. And I think they've been hungry for some kind of acknowledgement from government and the SEC in particular that this asset class is here to stay. And they finally got that.
So crypto's biggest enemy, I think, will soon be defeated.
Which is it? Is it a Beanie Baby in your view, or is it something that has inherent value that's going to be part of the financial system decades from now?
You are a loser. You always
I mean,
lose.
it helps that the most powerful man in the world is on our side.
I see value in having an Ethereum ETF.
So which crypto coins will get an ETF next? Let's see what Larry Fink...
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities for Ethereum to get an ETF. Again, it's number 2, right? But I think we are going to see a collective, like top 10 cryptos, some sort of ETF there. That's just my opinion.
Has to say, what does he think about the Bitcoin ETF being live? What does he think about what comes next?
How big a deal is that for BlackRock? And this was for you a big switch as well, because you were a naysayer for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I probably switched. For the first 3 years of thinking about it, I was a naysayer, and about 2 years ago, I switched. And I'm actually, as I said in the last 2 years, I'm a big believer. I'm a believer in it because I do believe it is an alternative source for wealth holding. I don't believe it's ever going to be a currency. I believe it's an asset class.
You don't believe it ever becomes a currency?
No, I think we're going to create digital currencies. We're going to use the technology for it. We're going to use the blockchain.
In terms of price?
I believe it goes up if the world is more frightened, if people have fearful of geopolitical risk, they're fearful of their own risk.
Eat shit, Gary.
It's no different than what gold represented over thousands of years. It is a asset class that protects you.
Right.
And unlike gold, where we manufacture new gold, we're almost at the ceiling of the amount of Bitcoin that'd be created.
Did you hear that? We manufacture more gold. So he agrees that we can find more gold. I mean, even you go up to space, you can find it on an asteroid. You ain't finding Bitcoin up there, right? Whoever said that, shout out to them.
I mean, when you hear somebody like Cathie Wood, who was on our broadcast yesterday, say that her base case is that this turns into a $600,000 a Bitcoin valuation. Base case.
Our base case.
Real quick, Mr. Charles Harris, appreciate you, buddy, for the $5 super chat. My apologies to the channel, and especially John English Tech, who has remained very cool. John English is awesome. Appreciate you guys, and thank you for your first super chat, man. That's awesome. I appreciate that a lot.
Is in the $600,000 range. Our bull case, and we think the probability of the bull case has increased with this SEC approval. This is a green light. Our bull case is $1.5 million by 2030.
And
$1.5 million by 2030. I need a burr, burr, burr noise on my GoXLR for sure.
In a
That's
super optimistic case. Are you anywhere in her realm?
I haven't thought about it.
His line's like a shit.
What we are trying to do is offer an instrument that can.
I just wanted this ETF so badly. I haven't thought about the price at all. Like, blow me. Not a chance.
Store wealth. Let me be clear. I think ETFs are step one in the technological revolution in the financial markets. Step two is going to be the tokenization of every financial asset. And to me, this is where we believe it's going. So we're looking at Bitcoin, we're looking at ETFs in the same manner. These are technological changes that can allow us to move forward as I said, these are just stepping stones towards tokenization. And I really do believe this is where we're going to be going. We have the technology to tokenize today. If you want to think about this. If you had a tokenized security and you have a tokenized identity, you, Andrew, the moment you buy or sell an instrument, it is known. It's on a general ledger that is all created together. You want to talk about issues around money laundering and all that. This eliminates all corruption by having a tokenized system.
Jamie Dimon.
We can just track you, everything you do.
Disagrees with you on that.
So Larry Fink wants that Ethereum ETF. He wants BlackRock to get that Ethereum ETF. He was a bit coy.
It's going to happen.
Kind of failed to name other specific coins. I actually think that could be good. If he's planning an ETF for Solana or XRP or Chainlink or something, he'd have to be very careful. I think he's worried about this man.
Investors, I think, should be aware that the underlying asset is a highly speculative, volatile asset. And amongst its use cases is really for illicit activity, money laundering and sanctions and ransomware and the like.
I love seeing Gary Gensler lose. I love seeing Gary Gensler.
This guy he gets friggin' Employee of the Year or Employee of the Month over at CNBC by far. This was the best argument.
Fronted with facts and logic. Like here, watch the CNBC hosts make Gary Gensler squirm.
He just he made him squirm hard.
Let's take the rat poison, Beanie Baby.
Look at the paleness in his face. He just all the color just went away. It was great.
Jamie Dimon, Charlie Munger versus we had yesterday on our Coinbase CEO. Did you hear him make the case for Bitcoin? I mean, it was almost like a symphony to Bitcoin bulls.
I think this means that over time we'll see new pools of capital come into Bitcoin. But more importantly, we had a huge regulatory milestone that showed the legitimizing power of this industry.
Proof of work, akin to gold. Every monetary aspect we've had for thousands of years is represented perfectly. And Tom Lee, there's never been a mistake on the blockchain out of trillions of transactions.
I think in the next 12 months, something over 100,000, maybe 150,000. And, in the next 5 years, again, it's... there's a finite supply, and now we have a potentially huge increase in demand with a spot Bitcoin approval. So I think in 5 years, something around 500,000 would be potentially achievable.
You understand it. You taught at MIT.
We already know in the U.S. and in many other jurisdictions that 3/4 of the market are not ICOs or not what we call securities, even in the U.S., Canada, and Taiwan.
You are a loser. You always
follow
lose.
Something similar to the Howey test that we've talked about. 3/4 of the market is non-securities. It's just a commodity.
Eat shit, Gary.
Crypto. So you'll hear debates about initial coin offerings and what's a security and what's not a security. Relevant and important debate. But for 3/4 of the market, it's not particularly relevant as a legal matter, as a regulatory matter.
You are
Which is it? Is it a Beanie Baby in your view, or is it something that has inherent value that's going to be part of the financial system decades from now? Which is it?
Look, no doubt there are innovations within this field, and those innovations, which I taught about at MIT around
this is the last time I go on CNBC Live, God damn it.
Your system. It's just an accounting system called the blockchain technology. It's rife with conflicts. It's rife with fraud and abuse without prejudging any one token. Many of these tokens, I would suggest a majority of these tokens are actually securities under the securities law.
So I totally understand why Larry Fink doesn't want to name the specific altcoins he's interested in for tokenization besides Ethereum or the other altcoins that he's interested in for other ETFs.
For investing.
This is an enemy that you do not want to make, and Larry Fink knows that. Now, there is one person who doesn't mind the fight, who is fighting against Gary
Brian Armstrong, to be honest.
Brian Armstrong.
He's so well spoken, and he will straight up tell Gary.
Eat shit, Gary.
100%.
Coinbase are in an intense legal battle right now. The SEC says that Coinbase is listing securities. Coinbase says we're not delisting and we're fighting back. So it makes sense to me why Brian Armstrong has more gusto about this and gets more specific than even Larry Fink. He has more specific predictions on the future of this industry. Now, personally, I'd say Ethereum, Chainlink, Polkadot, XRP, Solana. Personally, I think these are the most likely candidates for an ETF. Many of these have strong ties to regulators. Many of these have strong regulatory clarity. Guys, subscribe to the channel.
Maybe.
The cryptocurrency market is just heating up. If you're interested in making money,
No, I hate
it's
that
the
you say
most
that.
likely scenario. Brian Armstrong has the guts to say this, and it's pretty rational. This is how I
hate that he says make money in crypto. Like
the future plays out. Tell me if you agree.
I know
See
that's
you
the main
tomorrow.
goal.
In a
but
blog post, you say that spot Ether, a spot Ether ETF, can quickly follow.
Facts.
How soon do you think that happens? And then beyond that, is it Solana? Is it you name the coin? I mean, how do you see this playing out?
Eat shit, Gary.
Yeah, well, obviously that's not entirely in our hands, so I can't give you an exact date. But I do think that this will hopefully pave a way for other crypto assets to have their own ETFs. And then, you know, frankly, we should have index funds for crypto assets too, just like the S&P 500. You know, hopefully maybe one day it'll be the Coinbase 500 or something like that. And you could even imagine different index funds that focus on, you know, DeFi or staking or NFTs or different subsets of the crypto market. So this is a really important new area of the financial, you know, markets, and I think that it'll have all kinds of new products come to market after this.
So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Shout out to Altcoin Daily for that video. It was pretty good. They did a good job, actually. All right, so we have went a bit longer than I was expecting. Mr. Crypto Mikkel is live right now, so we're gonna jump into that. Do you guys have any final questions before we get out of here and go raid him and say hello this lovely Saturday morning? Let's see. You've made me chuckle at least 5 times now, Chris Hanley. Appreciate you, buddy. I love this.
Eat shit, Gary. You are a loser. You always lose.
It's the greatest soundbite in the history of mankind. 1000%. All right, I gotta find more sound bites though, so let me know if you guys have any other ones. I gotta clip a couple from Mr. Gensler himself, and I love the new hawk emoji, don't you? That's the me special emoji. It's great. All right, I love you guys. You're all fantastic. Have a great and happy Saturday. I'll be back later on tonight with Misfit Mining Saturday Night Live. My man Hawk Crypto, the Mining King. Hopefully, we have Max Voltage and the Geek of All Trades. Guys, I'm Chump Change. Have a good day. I'll catch you in a bit, and stay tuned for this evening. Peace out. Go check out Crypto Mikkel. Appreciate you all.
Eat shit, Gary. You are a loser. You always lose.